Hello, good evening, and welcome to the school committee meeting of June 25th, 2024. Apologies for us being tardy. We were in executive session, ran a little bit over. In order to start every meeting, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. And next, we would begin with the reading of our mission statement. The vision of the Wakefield Public Schools is to graduate students who are confident lifelong learners, who are respectful and caring members of their community. Our mission is to prepare students for college, career, and community by providing rich and challenging curriculum, high-quality instruction, and educational experiences that meet their individual needs and interests. Next would be public comment, and I don't think we have anyone in studio this evening for public comment, and I do not believe we have anybody on Zoom.
We have no one online now.
No one online. Okay. Well, next time perhaps. I believe item 7, Student Advisory Council. Hopefully our students are somewhere on a nice beach or in the woods somewhere. That'd be great. Item number 8 would be our consent agenda. Mr. Davis, do you have a motion?
Move that the school committee approve the minutes of the June 11th, 2024 school committee meeting as presented.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Yeah. Those approving? In favor? Unanimous? And I should mention Mr. Markham and Mr. Fontanella are unable to join us, as well as Dr. Lyons. Moving on, stepping in for Dr. Lyons is Ms. Caramaro. If you want to take superintendent remarks.
Sure. If it's okay with you, we'll take one out of order, and we'll start with a construction update from our Director of Facilities, Tim O'Brien.
Hey there. Thank you as always for having me. Pardon my voice. I'm going to give you a very brief construction update, and then if anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. And this is sort of just an overview of kind of the phase that we're in and what we're looking at as we go into July. You'll see as you come up Hemlock Road, a lot of utility work has begun, and that's for a few separate reasons. One, there's a temporary water service that's going to serve our fire service here at the high school, and that's just come online beginning today. Also, Wakefield Municipal Gas and Light Department has begun some of their prep work to support the battery park, which will be up at the top of Hemlock Road. So you'll see the Wakefield Municipal Gas and Light Department out there digging for some utilities to support that project, as well as July 27th and 28th, Hemlock Road will be inaccessible. So at that time, Gwiggly, who is Bond's site contractor here for our high school project, will be digging across Hemlock Road to connect our new drainage culvert to the existing culvert that crosses Walsh Field. So that work, they estimate, will take 2 days. Hemlock will be inaccessible at that time, and we're coordinating with summer programs with the rec department as well as our own athletic department to ensure that anybody who needs access to our fields gets it, and if that's logistically possible to, I understand there's a few games that are scheduled on Walsh Field during that time frame. So we're looking at whether or not that's going to be feasible that weekend. And we're already talking to Dan McGrath, who is the recreation director there. So, and Dan's always great to work with. So I don't foresee any issues there. Does anybody have any questions thus far? Okay. Also, toward the end of the school year, we sort of encroached on the Burnett Field a little bit, and the reason for that was because of the way that the plans were drawn up for the culvert. In order to complete that work safely, we had to come in about 4 feet into center field. What we found was, looking at the regulations for a softball field, that we were well within those field length regulations, and so that was that was no problem. We talked to all the stakeholders involved, and we were able to get that moving, which was good. That could have put us behind a little bit, but it did not. We were able to continue to move forward. That's the next step after. I have to actually look at the look-ahead schedule here, but we are going to be digging across Burnett Field this summer as well to connect the new drainage culvert all the way over to the outlay area, which is on the opposite end of Burnett Field. Monday morning this week, they began dismantling the dugout on the third baseline to prep for that work. So that's coming soon. I don't have exact dates for that work at this point, but those are sort of the next steps that we're looking at in the project out back.
Any questions?
Tim, I know in the last meeting you said you were accepting an update on the access road for the new Vogue. Did we get any update from them?
We have not yet. I think that they're waiting. There was some. There's a few things. There was a DEP investigation that I think needed to be concluded before they got final approval to do that, and we're still waiting on word for that. So that will be that'll be an exciting update when that work begins, for sure.
Are they still doing the flyovers?
They are.
Okay.
They are. So they were able to organize that so that they'll be able to do that all summer, and we'll be able to see a nice time lapse of the work that's occurred. So we're looking forward to that for sure.
Awesome.
Thank you, Tim.
Excellent. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Next, I'd like to invite up Father Michael Carl. He had come to a previous school committee meeting to share his proposal for the development of a neighborhood Christian school. I believe at the last meeting, the committee had asked Father Michael Carl to get additional information that he'd bring back to the committee, and he's on the agenda tonight. Does that cover, from your understanding?
Yes.
And I'm just covering
Yep.
for Dr. Lyons. I want to make sure I got that right. So you can come up to the table. Nice to see you again.
Good to be here.
Good.
So I don't have anything in particular to add, except that I believe, or was hoping that the additional information I sent to Superintendent Lyons answered as many of the questions as I am able to answer, considering the status that we are presently in, which is hoping to get the okay from the school committee before we make any commitments for, rent properties, definitely hiring faculty, because you don't want to give somebody a job for a job that doesn't exist. So I believe that I've answered all the questions that I needed to, based on where the project now stands.
Understood. Okay. And I think everyone got a summation of sort of the answers to the questions that we had sort of posed from Desi.
Yes, we had. And did Dr. Lyons reach out and give you the summary as well? I know he had to leave early today for a family matter, but I thought I didn't know if he reached out and gave you some of the summary on some of the questions, or if he didn't have a chance to.
Oh, yeah, he sent that, and that's what I answered and filled back.
So this was
filled
brand
in.
new, like you just sent this today?
No.
Okay.
I sent it like
Okay.
a month ago.
Yeah, so we did receive that, and then in terms of some of the OPID items, I think the big one for us in terms of like a final approval is on standard number 2, that there being some type of physical space. So I think what we're looking at is, we want to help unblock you. So, well, I'm going to speak for myself because we haven't taken a vote. I want to help unblock you to move forward with your school, but I think one of the challenges is very hard to say, we give our stamp of approval without, one of the things that Desi is asking us to look at is the physical space you're going to have for the school. So I think, any motion we would have tonight or preliminary type of approval would be contingent on you returning back to the committee at the time of having a space for that space to be reviewed. Because we can't really follow through on what Desi has asked of us without you moving forward with finding a space. There were a couple of other items in here. I don't think they were to the same high degree of importance, but the other ones that were in here, just to recap, was on standard number 4, there was no reference on technology or computers. So I didn't know if there's anything you want to provide to us today, or you want to follow up on specific on technology or computers for students?
Well, ideally, of course, we would like to have, and we are going to work on having a computer lab for the students to develop their skills. Although when I did some substituting, there was a kindergarten class that went to the computer lab at this school in Stoneham. And those little 5-year-olds knew more about what to do with the computer than I did. But so I don't know how much we will be able to teach them, because most of the kids are already fairly computer literate. But we will have as much of the, necessary technology. However, being in my particular age group, I like simply a whiteboard. And of course, when I went to school, we did have running water, but I mean, we had a chalkboard, and most of the kids were going, because of the dust. So the whiteboard was a great invention. So we'll have a whiteboard, a teacher, and whatever electronic gadgets we need to show multimedia presentations, if that's, what would be in the lesson plan, videos, monitors to run YouTube videos and all of those things. And so I'm kind of rambling on here, but I'm hoping I'm answering your question, that we fully intend to use and make use of every available technology if it would improve the academic program.
Okay. There were 2 other standards that I think were still kind of lacking in information. One of them is any clarity you can provide on supporting students with academic, emotional, or behavioral needs, how you would handle that?
Well, let's see. I think I did answer that one, because we would have an interview process for determining, admission to the school. And if in that process we are able to detect, based on the fact that presently in my congregation we have 3 teachers plus me who retired, who had to work on what they call, the class that I took and others, Survey of the Exceptional Child. So we were trained on how to identify children who have potentially issues with, if they're on the spectrum, or if they have ADHD or one of these other disabilities or learning, hindrances. We could recognize that in the admissions process and grant them admission, and at the same time go find an aide or a teacher or someone who could work with them at their level of need. And I think when I was here before, I mentioned that my oldest son is ADHD and my younger son is on the spectrum. And so while these 2 young lads were growing up, I had plenty of experience on knowing how to deal with a child who has more energy, to where if he bottled it and sold it, I would be a millionaire. And then the other one who is socially awkward because he's on the spectrum and he looks at people and can't pick up the verbal or verbal cues on where this person may be going in their conversation. So he has that issue. And so my wife and I have learned how to deal with that. And so when I was actually a classroom teacher, I was able to very clearly recognize when one of my students had some sort of disability like that. For once, my first year, they had a young lad in the class, because I was teaching 4th grade, who had what they called delayed auditory response. And I just thought that he was ADHD, and his mind was off on Neptune someplace. But what happened was that I talked to his mother, and she said, yes, he has, thank you for recognizing that, because the other teachers didn't, but he has what's called delayed auditory response. So when this young fellow we were getting ready to go into another topic, I knew then, because of his issue, that I would tell the whole class and then go up to him, look him in the eye in a non-threatening way and say, I need you to turn in your book to page whatever and get out a piece of paper and a pencil because we're going to be doing the questions on, or the math problems on page so-and-so. And because I was able to do that, looking him in the eye, making the eye contact, he responded perfectly after that. But if I just told the entire class and expected him to pick it up, not a chance, And so learning how to deal with these things is like, part of the deal. I mean, you can't be a classroom teacher and not know, or you shouldn't be a classroom teacher and not know how to identify a student that has ADHD or who may be on the spectrum. And, if you can't do that, then my opinion is, for whatever it's worth, you should not be in the classroom sitting on that side of the desk.
Did you have one last question?
There was one last question I had for you, and that is, there was no information that you provided, at least that I saw, on financial support. So how would you handle families of who want to send a student to your school but can't afford to?
Well, we'd work that out on an individual basis. If someone really, really, really was desperate to send their child to our school, we would, take up and, have a fundraiser or something to help them out, or look for one of the other families in the community who have the resources to maybe help them, or look to my congregation to see if we can come up with the money and the funding that way. Because the school and the church will be not one in the same, because we'd have to keep the finances separate, because that would be a royal mess, trying to keep the church and the school's finances together and figuring out what. So we'd have different budgets, but we would have the resources and potentially the resources to help any family who really wanted to send their child or student, to our program.
Okay. So, Dr. Lyons, did anyone have any questions before I go into
So I'm
Sorry, I
new
was
to
asking
the-
other questions.
I'm Melissa Quinn. I'm new to the school committee, and I missed your initial presentation to the school committee. And I saw the documentation that you sent to Dr. Lyons, and I saw in a couple of different places that you were going to be a K-12 school, and then another
Eventually.
area where it was going to be
We'll start
pre-K to
with what we
12.
can get and then eventually move up to that, but not try to have all K-4 all the way through 12th grade
But you're seeking.
right away. We'd start with the elementary level and work our way up.
Okay,
And
but
so
but long term, like you're imagining a K-12 school.
that's the objective.
Okay. All right, thank you. And the only other question that I really had is, I didn't see like any documentation of your articles of incorporation or your certification of tax exempt status, or like the things that we would need to send to the state when we approve you. Like, we need to tell the state who you are and what your address is, and where
Well,
the school's gonna be.
I don't know
and-
that. My treasurer of the church does.
Okay, so
And
I would like, I
we
think that we
have
would
the-
need to
we
have
have,
those before
Uh,
we could move forward.
we are incorporated, the church is a 501c3.
Great. So yeah, so your tax exempt certification would probably be all we needed.
Well, we are not tax exempt.
Okay,
And that's because when we were trying to get the tax exempt status, we discovered that, the federal requirements for that were out. Now, anybody who donates can write that off on their income tax. That's perfectly fine. But we are not sales tax exempt. And right at the moment, we rent our space, so the landlord, takes care of whatever the property taxes are. And as I've mentioned previously, I believe that I am not comfortable going and signing a lease for another rental space for a school until I know that it's going to be approved. Because without the approval, I'm like putting the cart before the horse.
right. But once we give approval, we have an obligation to the state to get that documentation to them in a certain amount of time. So
I'll find out, and pass along the whatever paperwork we have that says that we have that we are legally incorporated as a 501c3 not-for-profit corporation.
Yeah, but I just didn't see it in anything. Some questions.
Okay, thank you. Very good.
Well, I just,
Kim, Eileen?
yeah, no, I was just gonna say, and I appreciate you, I'm saying that, like, you know, you don't wanna sign a lease until, you know, you know that this is gonna be approved, but
Yeah, it's sort of
we're
like a
kind of.
chicken and the
It
egg
is like a
deal.
chicken, I was just gonna say that, it's so funny you said that, cause I was just gonna say, it's kind of a chicken and the egg situation, because according to the state, like, we have to see the space and like check, like, the fire, well, we're not checking the fire
Right.
inspection, but you know what I mean, making sure that everything is safe and compliant and all that stuff, so I'm unclear of next steps for us too, because it is like a chicken and egg situation, so. just-
I think we could make a motion to approve the application,
Uh-huh.
and then, but the application still needs to be like all of the associated checkboxes
Correct.
for the space.
Okay, got it.
For the tax exempt status, for the, like, so
Or
he's not necessarily done,
Mhm.
but he can pass our bar.
Okay.
So, I would say, I would make a motion and move that we approve the neighborhood Christian school application, as it is currently written.
If I want to make a modification to that, do I do that now, or do we?
You could, especially seeing as no one has seconded the motion yet.
Okay, let me try. I recommend that we conditionally approve the application for the neighborhood Christian school to operate a private school in Wakefield with the condition that the school secure a space with all the necessary permits and safety inspections, and that the 3 standards we just discussed a few seconds ago are just sent to Dr. Lyons in a message.
Second.
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 Motion's been made and seconded. Those in favor? All right,
Oh, good, that means I can start fundraising.
good luck.
Good luck.
Oh, thank you. And in the event it was needed, I even brought a copy of the 7th grade math book to show you, because I have the experience using this from this particular company, and they have the most logically presented math program that I have ever used or ever seen. And the curriculum that I submitted, you know, most of the textbooks that are in that list we're not going to use, but we will have the highest quality things that we can find.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next bullet item that was on the agenda, I don't know if I have to just put it out there and as a committee, Dr. Lyons was obviously going to put these forward, the administration contract update, so I don't know if you have to,
I
if
think
you
we're gonna hold.
decide to hold them.
I think we're gonna hold off on the contract updates, maybe until Dr. Lyons gets back.
So we can just say that and move on?
Yep.
Okay. And then the next bullet item was the 5-minute update. I can give a brief overview, or if you want to.
I think we're
Wait.
gonna hold off on that
Okay.
as well, because I think that's gonna have further discussion points.
Okay.
But thank you.
And
Okay,
that's it.
all right. It's gonna be
That was
brief.
easy.
Summer school committee, yeah. So under chair comments, I would just briefly state, and I think we had, Pete had reminded me of this, we'll need to update sort of the Wakefield Public School website for the new meeting dates. We'll put those in. Upcoming summer dates are July 16th, August 6th, and August 20th. So 3 more during our summer hours. Also an update on.
Stephen, I just wanted to remind you, so Christine, Doug, and I are at the superintendent conference on July 16th. Does that change that date from happening, or can that be something to think about? I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
I mean, I think one of.
We'll discuss it.
Okay.
All right. Retreat update would be, and I think I've said this before, is the our school committee retreat will be on July 20th. That I know you will also not be at, or Dr. Lyons.
Yeah.
But that's okay because I think we've secured our rep from MASC is going to join us, and we'll get to talk about sort of goal setting, communications, superintendent evaluations, and such. It will be a standard public meeting. Will not be at WCAT. It will be at the middle school. And if there is anyone from the public that would like to attend, they are more than welcome. I think I've received a communication that in past years, people have found it hard to attend that meeting. So we will do a better job of putting up signage, even if that means that I will put my personal phone number on the door. People could call me if they need to, if they want to join us for a day of school committee goal setting. Past that, do we have any budget items, Christine?
Nope, no budget tonight.
You are way down there. Steve. Okay. Any subcommittee reports?
Kevin couldn't be with us tonight, but Kevin Fontanella asked me to give an update on the Environmental Sustainability Commission. So he said last week he was happy to meet with everyone for the first time. There's going to be a recycling event on June 29th at the high school from 9 to 11, and a sports equipment swap and drop-off event on August 3rd. He wasn't sure if there was a time set up for that yet. And he said if anyone has any cardboard boxes that they want to bring for June 29th, that would be helpful. And then the last note he sent over, they asked me to bring up, was that the ESC is looking at working with Tim and Dustin on improvements to composting plans in the schools for the upcoming school year.
Fun stuff. Okay. What about Finance and Facilities Subcommittee? Tom is not here, so Kevin, have you guys met?
I'm not on that.
Okay.
We have not met.
Oh, okay. Labor and Personnel?
Yep. Labor did meet last Tuesday. The biggest agenda item that we discussed was we had Principal McLeod joined us and continued just conversations and updates around the climate survey, ongoing, actions to, continue to work on those issues that have been identified. So she provided a really good update on kind of where things stand with that. Things seem to be moving forward, and that's what we spent the bulk of the time talking about.
Okay. Thank you. Eileen?
We have not met.
Oh,
Student services?
Should we meet soon?
Student services?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. I'll look for that email. Pete, Policy and Com?
We have not met since the last meeting, so we do need to meet again, but I have not put anything on the calendar yet.
Okay. Do you, I'm seeing we have a motion for a policy?
We do. So on the table from our last meeting was a policy titled Relations with Non-Public Schools. Just as a recap, this is the MASC model policy for approval of non-public schools. And we did not have a previous policy on this topic. And so one of the things we discussed in the subcommittee was that it made sense for us to have a policy. And so what I'm going to make a motion for in a second, I'll do it now, is to basically adopt MASC's model policy as our policy. So move that the school committee approve the policy titled Relations with Non-Public Schools as presented.
Second.
And I'll just give one quick comment, which is we did decide that this will live in section L of the policy book. So this will likely be number 1200. Judy will figure that out. But the reason it will live in L is that's where it lives in the world of MASC. They have titled this policy LBC. So just to be consistent, since we're working on eventually moving to the MASC hosted policy book site, it will live in that same section.
Great. Tangential question, just how do we have an estimated date for like when they will start hosting our?
So do you want to get through this vote
Sure.
and then we
So
can?
it wasn't a quick answer? Okay.
No,
go
it's like,
on.
I'll give you a quick answer.
No, that's okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Those in favor? Okay.
So I
Motion
can give
passes.
that update from a policy perspective. So
Please.
I think part of what's stopping us from getting there is we have to go and review every part of our policy book to go figure out, what part of what MASC has in each of these sections we're going to bring forward. So right now, and I'm going to get probably this wrong, I think it was section D, we were reviewing in the last policy subcommittee meeting, and we got through I would say a quarter of it. And this is, keep in mind, this is just one, we had a limited time for our meeting, we had other stuff to cover. And so we do this section by section. When we finally get through all the sections, that's when MASC will be able to transition our site over to theirs, and then we'll go figure out how maintenance will work and everything else, because I don't think we've been educated on any of those components yet. So I think it's still a long process, because we're really still in the infancy of going through the various sections of the policy book. In my time, I think we've only been through one or two, and we're on our maybe third.
Okay. I thought I remember they used to, Dorothy was doing them in chunks.
It is a
At a
chunk, the
time.
chunk is the whole group. So,
Okay.
we're doing D right now, for example.
Okay. All right. Looking forward to moving into the 21st century. That'll be awesome. Yeah, I know you already gave a liaison report for the ESC. Any other, no, liaison reports? Slow summer?
Yeah, I'll give a quick one from the Human Rights Commission. On June 20th, they held a little ceremony in commemoration of Juneteenth, and we had some of our local political representatives there, our two state reps, our state senator, and we had a poet who spoke, and there was a lady from the Juneteenth organization in Lynn who sang a song, and then they raised the flag, and it was definitely a warm day, but it was a nice event.
Nice. That's great. HRC always does good work in that space. That's great. Okay. Future dates and agenda items. Our next school committee meeting is pending July 16th. I'll send an email out to see if we need to shift that up or down. Future agenda items, you'll see those listed. Late start updates. We can cross off neighborhood Christian school approval. Scholars luncheon, admin goals, likely after our, we can pair that with our retreat stuff. Policy book, we talked about technology update, safety update. That'll be good. Energy reduction and AI update. Okay. School committee comments. Okay. Aside from this is like the fastest school committee meeting ever.
I know.
Agenda's light. Just means the next one will be longer. I would just say the upcoming holiday, July 4th. I will put a plug in for the July 4th parade. They are still looking for sign holders ages 8 to 15 to hold signs for the business sponsors that have helped sponsor the parade. It's a fun time. Kids that hold the signs get to see their friends on the side, and I believe they're paying $30 per sign holder, which was definitely the hook that got
And a t-shirt.
that got my 9-year-old. Yeah, it was the $30. But it's always a cute T-shirt. So, and hopefully it'll be a great turnout. So, happy 4th. We have a motion to adjourn.
Move that the school committee adjourn its meeting of Tuesday, June 25th, 2024.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Those in favor? All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
When I first saw the 5-minute discussion, like,